Right. I think we're going to give it a few minutes, see who joins. We'll start at like 2 minutes after 7, 1 minute after 7. All right, I can see the numbers going up, but we will go ahead and get started. There's a lot to cover today. So today we are going to talk about the new distributor rebate management site, and it's called DCAT for Danfoss Distributor Competitive Agreement Tool. I have with me today Kate. She is the Senior Project Manager, and Rebecca will be joining us shortly. And we also have Christy Henderson, which I'm sure lots of you have worked with her in the past. They will be managing the Q&A, and so if you have questions, if you could put them in the Q&A chat section. And then I will try to pause after each section so we can talk about any questions that might need some further explanation. So generally for housekeeping rules, the presentation is geared towards distribution, but the sales and front end teams, so those negotiating with the end customers, adding end customers, those sorts of things. We will go through everything, but we're going to focus on that first part of the rebate process today, and then we will sort of gloss over the reconciliation process. And then there'll be another session for that. So if you're involved in the back end, where after the point of sale is submitted and you're reconciling, doing those sorts of discrepancies and post rebate submission functions, then the next session will probably be more what you need, but we will look at it a little bit today. But again, the focus will be at the beginning. If you can turn off your emails and phones and pay attention, that would be very helpful. Ask all the questions you can. The meeting will be recorded and available to you for your reference, and you will also receive a copy of the PowerPoint. So the purpose of today's training, we will be going live with a new tool on November 4th when we go live with One ERP. So everything is sort of going at the same time. We're going to give you an overview of the new site. We're going to talk about some of the key dates. And like I said, we will go over just general navigation of the new site and how to perform the actions. I want to spend most of the presentation in the site, so we don't have too many slides to go over, but you will get these slides, and they do have some screenshots that you can use for reference. But again, I want to do most of this training in the site for you, so you can really see how it works. So we're going to talk just briefly about how we got here. Then we'll go to the navigation in the site. Excuse me. And then our focus for this session will be the site details, the distributor users, adding end customers, competitive agreements, and how to look at the program agreements. And then we will just review the point of sale and reconciliation and discrepancies pretty quickly, but we'll go into detail in the second type of session. So how we got here, we know that our current tool is pretty old and hasn't really been updated. So we are launching a full replacement of the current tool. It will be going live with what we call an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, meaning we couldn't make it perfect quite at go live, but we have all of the critical functionality that will work for your system, and we have some continuous improvement plans to continuously add features to the product. We will have the enhancement of working with your account manager more closely. They will be working with you for your approvals for the competitive agreements and a little more involved in it than they are today, just because today's system is hard for them to get to. So it's just become the pricing team that looks at that. But really, it's your account manager that should understand the business a bit better. Big focus on navigation and the customer experience, because we know today the site is not easy to navigate. So we wanted to make it look and feel similar to other Danfoss applications, and so that you would feel familiar and it would be a good experience for you on how to navigate. And then we wanted to make sure that you would have plenty of notifications and communication from the site. And then, of course, our accuracy in our information and the transparency for the calculations and how we calculate your rebates. So yes, today we're going to look at the distributor sites, how you can see your rebatable products and customers. We will request a new end customer. And then the distributor users and how to add those. If you are a distributor super admin, you can add those for your approved sites in your organization. We will add the end customers via upload at MVP. We can't do it manually. It's only going to be at upload, but that is a feature that we will add later on to add them manually. For the competitive agreements, we can do it both manually and via the upload. And then we can also show you how you can see your flat rate programs that you are enrolled in easier in this program than you could in the others. And then we will see where we are with time and how much time we can spend with these sort of back-end processes here. There will be additional sessions and trainings. So yes, like I said, today is more like the sales front-end sessions. And so that's today and next week on the 15th. And then for the accounting or the back-end sessions, those will start on the 17th and 22nd. We will have the meetings recorded. We'll have the presentation materials available to you, and we are working on completing the excuse me, the how-to videos and step-by-step instructions for each of these actions that you will take in the site to make it easy and have them be in like small doses so you don't have to watch an hour-and-a-half video to learn how to do this 5-minute step. So I'm going to go to the new site. Any questions before we go to the site? Kate, Christy, anything out there?
No, you're good.
Okay. So when you log on for your Danfoss, you'll have a tile in your My Danfoss, and you'll be able to log in. I'm going to log in as a distributor, so you'll see what you see and not use my single sign-on. So this is my distributor logon. So you can see it will tell you what you're logged in as. I mean, most of you won't have like 4 logons like I do, but so right now I am logged in as the distributor super admin, meaning I can add users to the locations that I have assigned to me. And this, any other functionality is the same for the distributor user and distributor super admin. It's the only difference is I can add users. So this is my homepage. It shows me all my notifications, and here you can see everything in bold is what I haven't looked at, and everything not bold is what I've already clicked on. These will be live links, possibly before go live. I think we're going to be testing those out this week, but right now it is just a notification, and emails will probably not be at MVP, but we know that they are needed, and they're definitely one of the highest priorities that come right after we go live. So from here, you can see the distributors would be like your distributor sites. As this distributor super admin, I only have access to this one site. If you have multiple sites, you would see them all here. But for this one, I just have this site as Acme Sales. I can see who my distributor super admins are here. And that's just me and Becky and Rebecca. And if I wanted to look at distributor users, I can see them here. As I said, as a distributor super admin, if I wanted to provide access to my site or to the multiple sites that I have access to, I can create a new user and just click on this here, and you add an email. And if this person doesn't have a authentication through DIP, then they will be sent a invite. Otherwise, they will be able to have access using this. So, and you will get the site IDs and you just add them in. It took a second last night too. So you can see here that I've gone ahead and added this user. If I had more than one site, like I said, I could add all the sites here. So this shows all sites. My distributor user, I don't have multiple fake companies in here. But if I did, I could just click on these and see on which sites that I wanted that person to have access to. There is just a default site ID, and this can be your main location or whichever defaults for that person. And so and if you clicked off here, if there was multiple sites, you would only see the sites they were approved for. So if I go back, oopsies, you can follow the breadcrumbs back. You can use your back arrow, and you can also navigate using the tabs. And I saw several other applications for Danfoss at the DDM, and they all look very similar. So if I wanted to see if there was a user that had been deactivated, we just toggle that here so that they don't clutter up your normal view. And so there's nothing in here that's been deactivated. But let's say I wanted to deactivate this user. Again, as the distributor super user, I can do that, and I can just go ahead and deactivate them. And now they don't show here. And if I toggle here, they're back. So adding users is pretty easy for the distributor super admin. Just go ahead and click and add those up. So if I wanted to look at other things for my site, I can go in here, and for each site, it will show you your rebatable products. You can search for products in here. You can find, oops, if I can type, you can find everything that starts with GH493. And you can see that there's multiple pages here. You can always change this to 100 or 50, whatever. If you prefer to use pages or scroll, you can use those navigation buttons down here. I can get rid of the filter there if I'm looking for a family. I can go in here and it will pull up everything for that family. When I hit export products, if I have this search on, it's only going to export those products that are included in the search. So if I want all products, you just take that out and you can export all products. And the UAT system is always just a little bit slower than the production system. And this company has access to everything that we have in the system. So it takes just a few minutes or longer when you're on camera. All right. some of my fake data I'm going to use later. So you can see here, I can just export all of this information and it's all here. You can see what's in each of the families. And this is just UAT data, doesn't include everything, but you can see that it's not filtered. So if I had it filtered, it would tell you what you filtered in here. So that's pretty much what a lot of the reports will look like. It's all in the same format as we have for other applications within Danfoss. So I'm not going to save that right now. And then in here, we also are still within our site of Acme Sales, and we have the end customers here. So in here, you can also look for any that are pending. So that means that you've submitted them and the account manager hasn't gone in yet and approved them. You can look for approved ones. And you can see here that you have plenty of approved ones if you want to look for ones with a end customer group. So instead of the parent-child relationship, we have an end customer group. This is done by your account manager. They can assign them for you. And if you just wanted to see the ones within that group, you can look here and you can see, okay, so these ones will all have the same approvals. And when I submit a competitive agreement request, I will want to use this end customer group ID. And this is automatically assigned. So you can submit for just this end customer, or you can submit for the entire group. If you want to see any information in here, you can see the end customer details. Just shows you the address and any comments that have been made, the salesperson, that type of information. If there's agreements, you can see them here, specific to that end customer. And you can see the products on here, families on here. And that's just all specific to that end customer. So again, you can use your back button, you can use the breadcrumbs, you can use the tabs. You can also in here see site users, same view as we saw previously, but this is specific for the site. So you'll only see these sites. So if I was a distributor super admin with access to many sites and the original place where we looked at it in distributor sites might show me a lot, and it might be harder for me to distinguish which ones I want to look at. I can just go here to my sites, go in here, and then I could know exactly that these are the users with access to that particular site. So for end customers, as I said, at Go Live, we will just be able to upload new end customers via an upload. We will plan to do it with a manual function after Go Live, but at least we have a way to do the end customers. So I have the examples here and the end customer upload. So in here is our template. So if you reset the template, you know that you will always get a template that is properly formatted. During UAT, we had a lot of issues with just formatting, because if you copy and paste and not paste values, it can mess up the template. And this is a me issue. Seem to get that a lot these days. So if I wanted to add an end customer, which was in here somewhere, but not right now. So if I added this as my end customer, and I'm just going to change this to 7 because in SAP, all of your distributor IDs will start with 7. And so we have the template looking for a distributor ID that starts with 7. I don't know what the deal is with this thing. All right, and then you check for errors. It's not going to find any errors, so then you can generate the CSV. It puts it in the same place as where you have the template stored. The me issue with templates, I don't know. So then I can go here to browse and put in the template and add new end customers. So it's going to tell us, because I was working with this yesterday, that there are 2 customers that have errors and 2 customers that are ready to go. And you can decide if you want to send the valid for approval or if you just want to wait. You can also download the customers with errors. And this should tell me that these 2 customers are already in the site. It's already existing. So that's your error log, so you can see exactly what's going wrong. You can make the changes, re-upload them into the system. So because I added these last night to create that error, I'm just going to go ahead and just send the ones that are valid to the system. And so now when I look for pending, I should see 4 because we saw 2 earlier, and those were the 2 that errored, and now I've got these 4. So that is how we upload the end customers. The end customer ID can have letter numbers, dashes, but not spaces or any other strange characters. But we did look at what was already out there, and we will migrate the end customers that are there. I can also see anything that was denied. It can tell me my reason was for that. And obviously we're just testing things out, but you can see the account manager will select a reason type and then be able to give you some just free text comments on why it was denied. Chances are you'll be having those conversations with them anyway. If you want to see any deactivated end customers, you can just toggle the switch and it will show you deactivated. So right now I have denied and deactivated. But I can clear all those filters. You can also download the end customer report. Again, if you have this set to approved, when you download, you will just get those approved ones. And if you had it set to all, you will get everything. So if there's any questions about the end customer ads. No questions in the chat that we should discuss?
We just have one, and that is, will emails be within the rebate system, or is it going to be configurable to go directly to the user business email?
It will go to the user's email. So whoever submits the request, the email will come to that person. MVP Plus, we know that there's folks that probably, especially like on the back end, they also want to see those. So those we're going to try to find a way to configure those to where they will, you can select what you want. If you want to receive every email, things like that. But the first thing is just to get the emails working. So it will go to the person who requested it. So, okay. For agreements, we can go in here and we can see all of the agreements that we have. We can see the status of agreements. So there's kind of a lot of statuses, but we'll go through them quickly here. I think they make sense once you get used to it. So active, of course, just means it's active and being used right now. And if you have anything in approved, what that means is that it's approved but hasn't started yet. So you can see that this is approved, but it starts in February of next year. So, I mean, that's kind of a long time, but you could have some where you've submitted a request and the current request is going to end at the end of October, and then you have the new one set to start in November. Just things like that. So if there was a change needed, so we can look at that. So that is the difference between approved and active. If denied is pretty self-explanatory, it just means it was denied. If it's in draft, so when you request it manually or you request it via an upload, it is in draft status until you submit it. If it's in draft status, we cannot see it. So we don't get any notification showing that it's pending or anything like that. I think it's in submission pending today where it's just sort of sits out there and we can't see it. So draft status means that you can still make changes to it. As soon as you hit submit, you can't make changes to it anymore because we don't want it to be changing while the account manager is looking at it and seeing if they can approve, and they might have to go have it escalated, things like that. So we go here to the agreement. We can see that it's in draft status. It's for Acme Sales and this location, and the end customer is Foghorn Farms. I can change this still at this point if I wanted to make it for something else. I think I took all of the customers off of this one, but we'll see. And then we have the products that were, oops, confirm, just tell you those things. So it has all of these products in here. You can see that it has the OEM discount requested, and when you submit your request, which we will go over, it will give you the on-scale rebate amount. So you can see that we are simplifying our rebates by making it a rebate percentage as opposed to a distributor discount, which may or may not equal your distributor discount because there's a base discount that's always used. And it's, not super complicated, but if if you're not really familiar with it, then it's definitely not going to pay out as expected. So we thought it would make it at least a little bit easier by giving you this rebate amount so you know that you'll get 2.37% off of the list price. If you needed something off scale, then you would need to put that in manually, and then it will calculate that for you. So if I wanted to put this at 5%, so I want to be able to sell it at this price and still get a 5%, and I hit save there, you can do that. You can also add families. At go live, the template, I don't believe will work for families. So you would have to submit your products and then add the families. We will have a prioritization for the part number over the family. Today, it randomly selects, so it doesn't always pay as expected. So we wanted to make sure that this is available, and if the system was going to allow it, that it would function as expected. So if I just added this family, oops, I got to add families, sorry. So this does give me the list of families. So if I wanted to do this one, and I was going to have that many, and I want this at 80, it's going to calculate the rebate amount for me, and then I can add that family. So now I have all of the couplers that are in here. We will have some changes to families. And this is just the test system, so it has all the old ones, but we will send you a crossover for that. So I have all of these products. You can see that there is not multiple pages, so there's just the ones that we see here. And in general here, I can send the request. So that one is off. And now if I looked for that one, it would be in submitted status. You can see that was the one that I just sent, and now it's in submitted status. So I have all of these that are in submitted status. If we wanted to see the ones that we have submitted but have not been sent back to us yet, we can look at in review. And as soon as the account manager opens the agreement, it will change to in review so that you know that it is being worked on. So the other status would be expired and returned. So today we can you submit it for a requested amount, and if we can't approve it for that, then we approve it where we can and send it back to you as approved, but maybe for a different than as you expected. In this future system, we will return it to you. We will give you guidance on this, either through the tool. We can give you the comments here, or perhaps you're just having a conversation and they said, oh, okay, well, you've got this submitted for too much, in here. And once we return it to you, it becomes in draft status so that all you have to do is make the changes that were requested or discussed with your account manager or put into the comments, and then you can resubmit it as per their request. So let's say this one was too much and they said, okay, we can't approve it at this level. It's not warranted. So I'm going to go ahead and make that change and hit save. And then I can go ahead and send that request now. You can make a comment, say, please approve it ASAP, corrected per our conversation, and save that comment and send the request. And then your account manager will get the notification that it's been submitted. And now if we look into the submitted ones, that one is also included. I think it was this one. All right, so if we want to request one manually, we can go in here, we can put the site in there. I think if there's only one site that you have access to, it'd be nice if it defaulted, but right now it's not going to. So we have Bugs Equipment. You can put any sort of comments you want in here. New opportunity we discussed last night, whatever, and create the draft. When I go here to products, I can add new products, and it's going to show you everything that's approved. So you can search, you can look for different types of product lines. So let's say this is for some hoses and, or fittings, sorry, hoses and fittings. Again, 363 pages. I can change this to 100 if I prefer to scroll through it. If I was looking for something specific, I can put that in there so that it will search for anything like that for you. You can say, oh, I'm going to sell, 1.5 million of these at 81%, and it will automatically calculate that rebate. So then you can add the product. If you want to add more products, it's going to take the one that you just selected, and now it's not in here anymore because you've already added it. So that way you know that you've added it. So we thought that would be something that would make it easier. Excuse me. So if I want to take this off and just find some other random items, and things like that. Oopsies. And add the products. So then I can see which ones I've added. You can expand. You can see them here. If I want to go over here to the families, and I add a new family. And let's see, it's this one here. And so now I can see that I've got my families and my products on here. I can get it here. And if everything is as I want it to be, I'll got to select, you don't have to, but we like it if you will tell us who your competition is. Save and send the request. And now you can see if we looked again in the submitted requests, so we have yet another one. All right, so if we request via the upload, you can go here. I have the template on here. So again, you have your instructions, you reset the template. This is a template that we've actually just put the families in, which aren't working right now. But for the upload, it will be shortly after go live. I have just some data here that we can put in there. So you can see. I put this in here. Oops, that is me. So if I have an end customer group here. So if I tried to put also a end customer in here, the template is going to tell me that I can't have both. If I have put this in here with a 0.8, it's also going to tell me that it can't, it needs to be in this format. That only happens when I'm trying to take videos or on meetings. So if I go in here and I do check for errors, it's going to tell me that I have errors in here. So it actually did an error on that one, of course. It should tell me that that's not good. But this one is telling me that it has an end customer group or ID, and it should only be one or the other. So I'm gonna fix that one. I think part of the hardest things we've had is just getting these templates to work as expected. So now we can see that the count of errors is 0. I'm going to generate the CSV file. Again, it's going to put it in the same place you have this template saved. And I am going to open that up. Sorry, and I got to change my distributor ID because we have the template for the production. I think it just gives me a warning and it actually lets me do it, but make sure I copy that. And go here and browse. And this is the one. I'm going to open it. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got too many. Uh, that is another thing. I said I had to hide that other column. Don't hurt. And that is here. Sorry, that one is there. In your templates, that will be a thing that happens. Did I just hit that incorrectly? Browse. Open.
Caroline, it's because it has the same name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you should put a different name. Or,
There we
yeah,
go.
refresh.
Choose the
Now it
file.
should work.
Now it should work.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just a weird in it.
There we go. That's what we expected to see. So you can see that 2 drafts were created successfully and 1 line had errors. And an agreement in this system is the, let me open this up real quick and show you. So for each distributor site and customer combination that's in here, so this will become an agreement. This will become an agreement, and then this would become an agreement. So that's why it's allowing for 2 that are created and 1 that is not. If there was any lines, sorry, I'll explain this for a second. If there was any one of these lines that could not create the agreement successfully, it will not create the agreement for this combination at all, so that you could fix it without having more agreements just for 1 line, because it's easier to manage if they're together. We are assuming that the opportunity is usually entered in kind of all together. And so that's how the agreements will look in the future state, which I know is different than today. Then there's pros and cons, but I think once we get used to this, it will definitely be a pro. So it created 2, like I said, in draft format, so I can still go in there and manipulate them, add things to them if I wanted to. And then if I wanted to download the error log to see what was wrong with the other line, I can open that up. So it's an invalid material number. So I can look at that, and I know that when I was playing around with this, what I did was I put 140 instead of 104. So if I went back to this here, I could actually change that. I don't want to resubmit the other 2 again, right? Because that's just going to duplicate those. So I'll take those off. And yes, I could do this manually, but just for the sake of this, we'll go ahead and do this. And I'm going to save it as a different item. Close that. Okay, I can close that. I'll just minimize it. So if I go back to all the agreements, I can see those ones in draft that I just submitted and the one that was manually done a minute ago. And I can upload that last one. And now it's created successfully. And so if I refresh, then I have all of those. So if I wanted to add other items to one of these, you can still do that. You can edit the draft, you can remove the draft. You can see the details. So if I have in here products, if I wanted to add more products, I can do that. If I want to add all 2K motors, but I need this one to have a better rebate than the others. So let's say I need this one at 62, but then I want, oops, sorry, didn't hit save. If I wanted to have all the other 2K motors, and I was going to have 50 of those, and maybe I don't need it as such a deep discount for the others. So then I can have my 2K family plus this one at a deeper discount, not by much, but a little bit. And you can mess with this all you want until you hit send request. So once that's all in there, so I've got my 2K motor, which I get a 10% rebate on, and then all other 2K motors, which I will get a 9.3% rebate on. And then I can submit that, and then it's now in submitted status, and I can't make any changes until the account manager has looked at that. So that was kind of a lot of information about how to request a new competitive rebate. We can look at the flat rates, but I'm going to pause for a moment and see if there's other things you want to see before we move on. So
There was a question. There was a question about adding a customer manually, and Rebecca have given a short answer, but maybe you can give a longer one on the end customers via upload.
So we have the upload right now, and we have adding them manually as a MVP plus, possibly a phase 2. So when we go live, all we can do is do the upload. We will, like I said, migrate the ones that you have. But if you need to do even just one after go live, the upload's what we have, but it is in there as a request to be added in a future state. So hopefully that answers the question. I know we couldn't get everything in before go live, so we wanted to make sure that we had at least some much better navigation flow and accuracy on these rebates.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
Yeah, there was one more, which on the status has changed, who make the change during the review process. So maybe you can show in one of those how it will record it all.
Yeah, so this one is in review, and this one is in set and submitted. So as, excuse me, as the account manager goes through them, you can see that they are actively reviewing these. And I don't know, Rebecca, if you want to log on as the account manager and maybe approve one. I know you have to log on as 2 things. And then you could see like one of them would be approved or denied or returned. Those are all done by the account manager. They could have to escalate it. It's just going to show in review on your end. So they could be working on it. But as soon as they open it, it changes to that so that you know that they've seen it and are working on it. If it's still in submitted, nobody's opened it yet. If it's returned or denied, then yeah, it should come back to you as well.
And to complement, like, who can see who made the status changes, that is only available for internal.
Yeah. But if you have questions or it looks like it's just sitting out there and submitted, we are pulling information on the sites. Here, on here, we can also duplicate a tab. so that you can look at two things at the same time. So if you're in here and you want to request an agreement manually and you forgot to look up what my, I don't know, end customer was, you can have two tabs open or multiple tabs open. So since I opened this one, we can go in here and look for the distributor. And this is UAT, so we manually assigned them, but we have the account managers listed here and then the sales managers listed here. So once we go live, you will see the actual account manager here. And if it's not the person that you're working with, they should be, the person who is listed here is listed in our system as the account manager. And if they get a notification for an account that's not theirs, they are supposed to forward that information. And your account manager can always look up your information. But if you see something other than what's expected here, you can always reach out, especially if something's sitting and submitted. Once the dust settles and everything is, so we're changing, SAPs or ERP systems. And so a lot of things are changing. So we know that this could probably use a little more pencil sharpening. But there's not an easy way for us to know where to pull it from without maintaining it separately. And we're trying to get away from maintaining things separately because then they become unmaintained. So once the dust settles with all of our moves and we can find a better way to reassign things like that, then we will do that. But at Go Live, we thought it was the safest thing was to pull it from our quote system. And so whoever is listed as the account manager in our quote system will be the same person that's listed for the site contact here. So yeah, definitely if you see something and submitted for too long, please let us know. We will have the rebate team as well that can look in here and see if things are just sitting and submitted. And you can reach out to them as well at the same email address, the rebate help desk at danfoss.com. And they can help escalate or push things along if we need to. You can, like I said, download your agreement report. If I have just submitted in here, it's only going to give me those. But if I wanted just the active ones, I can go in here and download those. It does tell you it might take a few minutes. We've been using this account quite a bit. So since it's the fake one, I can do all my help items on there, and so we don't have to worry about showing any sensitive data. So in here you can see this is what the report will look like. You can see that I've chosen my distributor site. So if you again have more than one site, it could have more than one site here. And then I've chosen for active. So all of the ones here are in active status. You can see when they started and when they expire. We are not expiring everything on December 31st of the following year. It will default to an 18-month from when it's requested, but the account manager can edit that to say it should be shorter or longer than that. And then they will get a report 90 days before anything expires to tell them what is expiring. And and you can also pull a report to show you anything that's expiring, not at Go Live because nothing's going to expire right away. So we put that one off a little bit, but it will be available to you to where you can pull the report and see what is expiring. It should also send a notification, but it will be to the person who requested it, at least at Go Live. And then once we can get a little more customization, you can request to have all of those notifications sent to you as well. But you can see there could be multiple agreements between the distributor site and a specific end customer. I don't know if I have examples of that right now, but I think this one has, well, only has one. But anyway, you can see if there's multiple agreements and they could all end at different times. Again, there's pros and cons both ways, but I think once we get used to it again, I think that will be a better way for it to work. If you want it to all end at a certain time, you can just talk to your account manager about that, and then they can edit the expiration date so that it's always at the same time. So you can see exactly which agreements have the percentage off scale and which ones are on scale. You can see the list price and the date of the list price. So this is our current list price. If it was, next year, it might have a new list price in April, and then it would tell you that. It does give you your expected sell price based on the OEM discount and your expected rebate credit amount. Because there's not a good way to pull your net after rebate or your end of stock discount at this time, we won't have net after rebate, but because this is an easier calculation, I think you can just take your end of stock and subtract your expected rebate credit and know where you're going to be with your net after rebate. So yeah, so that's, I think, pretty much it for the competitive agreements and the reports and how that looks. So hopefully that is an improvement over what we have today. I'm not going to save that. Just minimize that in case we want to look at it. So for flat rate programs, you can see the flat rates that you have agreements for. So we have these programs. Obviously, we've just been testing some of these. If we look at, if you have more than one site, again, you can select the site, but I'm logged on as this distributor that only has these. You'll see that there is an about to expire, but I don't have any set to do that quite yet. You can see your expired ones. So within here, you would have expired agreements. So you can look at that by going in here. And you can show the expired agreements. So you can see that this one was active until August 31st, and then it's expired. You can see which end customers were associated with that and when they were enrolled. You can also see the products that are included in there. So you can see that it's industrial motion control under these groups and these motors. If you are unsure what that is, you can go in here to your rebatable products and you can look at it as industrial motion controls. Sorry. Directional control valves. And that was the class, I think. Directional control valves. The other one was valve, others. So anyway, so then you can see what those products are that are included in that program. You can also look in here, you can see the program name, the program number, and whether or not end customer validation is required. So if you have a hose center where you have counter sales, things like that, and the end customer does not need to be approved and assigned to this particular program, they could be an approved end customer, but the program doesn't require them to be. You can see that there. You can also see what your expected OEM sell discount is and the rebate amount is. So it's a little more information than you had before. I don't think you could see any of the flat rates before, so you can see now any of the ones that are assigned to you. In here, I have my host center one that we just talked about. You can see that it's active. And there are no buttons here to see the end customers because the end customer validation is not needed. And these are just UAT numbers. So any questions about flat rate programs? All right.
I have a few
okay.
in the chat, sorry. So there's a question about the recall submission option. So if the request has to be changed, for example, the customer would want something more different. So would that work and how that works?
So on your competitive agreement, you have it active, but then you want to change it.
Yeah, I assume that, yes.
So if I go in here, I
think
can.
if you just submitted it and it's now in review, you couldn't edit it anymore, right? So you could tell your account manager that you want to make some changes, so the account manager would return it to you, and then you can make the changes.
Correct. So yes, if it's still in that submitted or in review, where you can't make changes and you figured out that you need to, just let your account manager know, and they can return it to you so that you can make those changes and resubmit it. If you have something in active status and you want something similar but not quite the same, I can look at this one and I can export it, but I can also, I'll show you something here. So I can see that these are the products on here. This is what I have on here. This is good from August until January of 26. But let's say I needed to make some changes. It's going to freeze up on me now because we're an hour in. All right, there we go. So let's say this isn't enough rebate on this one. I'm selling more than the one I expected to sell. So I want to make some changes. If I am out here, and that was 1648, I can duplicate the agreement. And that's going to set it up basically exactly the same. It's in draft form. So I can say, please replace current agreement, and it shows you that it's a duplicate of this one, 1648 with new values. Save those comments. This also works if you wanted to have it needed a similar agreement for a new end customer, but they aren't part of the group. So like say it's an unrelated but similar customer, so they're not really an end customer group, but you want similar things. You can also use this duplicate for that. In here, it shows you exactly what was there before. And you can see there's a flag here, which just means that you already have an agreement between this site and end customer for these products. This is just so it doesn't happen on accident. Again, you're asking the account manager to end the current one and start this one. So you can still submit it. So we don't want duplicates. That happens today, which causes all kinds of problems. So it's going to flag to make sure that you are doing that on purpose, but it still will let you submit it. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, okay, so for this one, I'm actually going to sell 25 of these. And so I want I still want to sell it at this price, but I want a 12% rebate on it. For this one, just random numbers, I'm going to sell 100 of these now. And I am going to need to sell them at 80% off. And so now I've got both of those are now changed. I don't think it had any families. So it is basically a replacement of this agreement with this new agreement with these new numbers. It has my comments here. I can send that request and the account manager will be able to see that. They will not be able to approve it for overlapping dates, but they can go in and maintain the current one. And they will also see that it's a duplicate. Even if you hadn't put that in the comments, they can see that it's a duplicate of another agreement. So they'll know that they have to go and end that agreement and then start this one after the end of that agreement. So that's one way to do it. Yeah, like Rebecca said, if it's in submitted and review and you need to change it, then you just let your account manager know to return it to you, and then you can go from there. I know this is a lot, so again, there'll be another one that focuses on all of these things. And then there'll be the ones that are going to talk about these a little bit, but we will focus on the rebate management end of it. And there will be in here, we will have help docs for you once it goes live. Like I said, little bits, little videos of just like 5 to 10 minutes that explain how to do something, a little bit of troubleshooting, and then we'll also have step-by-step instructions in case you prefer that. Some people prefer videos, some people prefer instructions, so we're trying to create both. So they'll be there in small pieces so that you can get to know exactly what you need to know how to do. And here, I think we have some rebate management. Acme Sales being a fake company, I can't release it the way I could with a normal company. In the queue system, we do have ones where we can release it and get the order number, which is the credit number ID. So you'll be able to find that. Unfortunately, since this is a fake company, I can't do that, but I have what the items look like. And of course, I must have closed that. So let me go here. Here is my report, what it looks like. So this is my August report for Acme. You can see that it's got the report line number, and that is important for submitting discrepancies. It does have the distributor site ID. One of the big differences, well, I mean, besides this just being one big long report, is now all the report is on one report. So you're not going to have a report for AeroQuip, another one for Eaton, another one for Vickers, and then one for every single program. It's all on one. To keep it manageable, it is per site ID. So I know those distributors that have multiple sites might want them all on one report, but it could become very unmanageable size-wise. So it is per site ID per month. So here it gives you the end customer and customer name, the agreement number that's in here, and it provides the Danfoss material number. Our unique key it is the same as it is today. It's just not really visible anywhere today. But it is the invoice number, line number, material number combination, and that has to be unique, same as today. Otherwise, it could show up as a duplicate, or we think that it's a correction, things like that. And here you can see it does give you some additional details that it didn't give before. So if it is approved by the agreement, so that means that it is paying out the rebate amount exactly as expected. So here is what we have agreed to in your agreements, and the list price that it's using and the list price date that it's using, the rebate amount per the agreement, and then it's telling you that you sold it exactly how you were exactly as the agreement, and that the rebate amount was exactly as per the agreement. And then it'll show you the rebate total. This was a real company. We could also show you the order number, but it won't be a CR number because, changing ERPs, but it will give you the credit number and then the release date. So you'll know exactly when that was released. If it is approved by sell price, then you can see that, like on this line, this was the agreed amount. It was 45.8% off of list price, and the rebate amount was 7.5, but because the sell price was slightly different than that, it'll show you the discount amounts applied and then the rebate amount applied. And that's why the rebate amount per the agreement and the rebate amount that it actually paid is slightly different. So we tried to make it very transparent so you can see when something is paying per the scale. So if you sell it for slightly more, the scale goes up. So that's so we tried to make that, like I said, very, very transparent. Invoice price too high. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So excuse me. So the invoice or the agreement was you're going to sell it at 0.74. It actually went above the scale, so it paid nothing. So once it gets above that scale, then it's not going to pay anything. So then no valid agreement, no valid end customer. This means that there was not a valid agreement or a valid end customer for the date of the point of sale. So it could be that you have, this is actually a valid customer, or sorry, this one was a valid customer, but it wasn't valid on this date. So that, and then I think this one had a wrong list price unit of measure, which could just be something that you had incorrect on your point of sale, and it doesn't show it in here. So you would just check your point of sale, and maybe you had just these in the wrong unit of measure. So then you can check your point of sale, you can correct it, you can resubmit it, and then we will see it. It's nice if you still let us know, but we will actually be able to see that it's been submitted and has items in submitted status in the system. So of course, if it was, a couple of months ago, we may not be looking at that month. So still always good to let us know if you submitted something that's been corrected. But we will be able to see it and reprocess it. And so if you fix your unit of measure, it will then pay out. And then you'll have two different order numbers here with your credit. It's a credit order number. So again, I didn't want to get too into the weeds with this during this session. There'll be definitely a little more time spent with that in the pricing ones for the new rebate tool. So we will need to have all point of sale submitted through our partner data. You can do that via the upload that takes you directly to E2Open or with the partner data submissions email address. If you are not submitting that way and submitting directly, channel development manager should be reaching out, but if that has not happened, I'd say by the end of this week, please send me an email and let me know so that we can ensure that you are onboarded. If it has been a little while since you've, updated your profile with Eda Open, if you're getting emails, if there's any issues with your submissions, then you should be good. But if there's any questions, you can always reach out to them and make sure that your profile is updated. Yeah, so let's leave, sorry, I talked a lot, so we'll leave 15 minutes for questions.
No worries, there's a few coming up, so let's just take maybe from the top one, how our power unit system rebates are going to be handled from Dennis.
So they will be handled like a regular program. So I know today you use 12% as your sale price. So in the future state and this system, you can use your into stock price, something like that, whatever, but you don't use 12 anymore. We're trying to make the audit point pretty big, but there's still definitely things you're going to buy that even if we make the audit point 100% is going to be too much. So industrial is supposed to update their information to tell you to use your into stock price for the sale price, but otherwise it will be just as it is today, where you'll submit it. We will be sending out a list of crossover for your new distributor IDs, new program IDs, and any new part numbers that have changed due to the system change. So we will send those to you, and we are expecting our partner Eda Open to cross those over in your point of sale, at least for the first few months, to give you time to update the system, because we just got the distributor IDs and we're working through everything else. So it will be a little late in the game to expect you to have that updated. So we are asking our partner to update the point of sale for us so that it can all be processed through the new system. Starting November 4th, we will have to process everything in this new system. So we will be actually doing your October sales in the new system. So that's, I'm going to cross that over for you. But otherwise, it should be exactly as it is today, where you list the part number or material number. And the sales, it doesn't, there's no end customer validation, so you just need your sales. Other questions on there?
Yes, there's a question about the pricing. So when the pricing is at the time of shipment, does the rebate follow the original list price entry date or the date in the effect at the time of shipment? This then becomes the discrepancy in the expected rebate dollar amount.
It's at the time of shipment, same as it is today.
We have one more question a little bit further down. Is it possible to combine multiple requests for a given customer to make management easier?
So if you don't want to have multiple agreements for your end customer, which can make it manageable, but again, I think we'll just have to get used to things a little bit, but you can use that duplicate request and add on your new products to that request, and then request that from your account manager. So if I wanted everything for, I don't know, one of these end customers to be exactly the same, I can duplicate this request. It's the same one I did before. And maybe you just want to add some new products on there. Does this one not have any products on it? think we were just playing around with that one. Oh, it's in draft, but yeah, it doesn't have any products on it. So the one that I copied from somehow doesn't have products on it. That's a UAT issue. But if I wanted all of them to have the same, then you can just duplicate, add on the new products, and then the account manager would then need to end the other one before it starts the new one. And it can work that way.
There's a couple more questions. One, as we near the expiration date of an agreement, do we need to resubmit for the rebate, or will it be automatically reviewed or for extension?
The account managers will receive a notification 90 days before the agreement ends with the details on that, to show like how much usage was on that. So we are asking for, when you submit new competitive agreements, that you provide actual expectations for your usage. When the account managers, so today our behavior is we just kind of put ones and everything. But we do want to actually look at the potential and expected, and then at the end of those 18 months that we're going to see, okay, so they thought they were going to get 50 out of this and they only bought one in that 18 months. Then the account manager may reach out and you might have a conversation about whether this agreement makes sense to continue, if it should be modified or just expired. So we're trying to enable them to have easy information to be able to make an informed decision when these should be extended, modified, or expired. That said, they get the notification 90 days prior. We are expecting the distributors to get it 60 days, so it gives them just a little head start on looking at it. But if you get some, then it shows that they're going to expire. When you pull the agreement report, it should tell you, or it will be able to tell you like what your usage was. And then, you can have that conversation with the account managers, but the account managers will be in charge of whether or not the agreements continue or if they get changed.
The next one is the intention for this rebate program to apply to legacy Danfoss products as well as legacy Eaton items?
Not at this time. So I know we're all going to one ERP and we call it that. Legacy Danfoss is still on a different release from what ours is going to be. So we are release 11. So they've done 11 different releases into the new SAP, which I know not everyone will get the differences, but legacy Danfoss products are still going to be an SRP until 2026, I believe. Christy could confirm, but I think 2026. So we wouldn't be able to combine until we are all on the actual same ERP system. So as we stabilize, we'll look at if other products make sense, that sort of thing. But right now it is just going to be the legacy Eaton products.
And then a new one, if the account manager is receiving notification of expected expiration date, we are in the 90-day window. Are we expecting the account manager to reach out now? So for example, the agreement expires at the end of this year. So we're already in the 90, that's what they're asking.
Yeah, we're gonna move those dates for the migrated ones. I don't think we want it to end all in December. Well, we wouldn't have it end this December. Like we need some time to stabilize. We're not going to expect all this to happen right away. So we will have everything that's migrated expire at a specific point in time, probably, I don't know, the end of next year. Very beginning of 26. I have to get with sales to find out exactly how far out they want to put it, but no, we don't want anything to expire this December just because there's just too many moving parts right now. So everything that's set to expire December 31st of this year is going to be extended.
And that's all the questions up to this point.
Okay, let's see if we've got any slides left. I will. So yes, we will have these additional training sessions. If you have folks in your organization that you're not sure if they've received these invites, if you could please share those invites. So share the invites. We did add some more email addresses from the original ones that went out, and I think they are being forwarded either today or tomorrow to hopefully capture more of our audience. But for sure, make sure that those that are doing rebates in your organization have received the invite, and make sure that they are able to attend or will be able to get the recordings. And again, just ensure your EDA Open profile is current. So those are the two things that we're asking you to do right now, is to share the invite. Make sure that if you're not using EDA Open now, which is the email partner data submission or the link for point of sale within my.eaton, if you're not using one of those two things, reach out. We'll make sure that we get you onboarded before. And especially for this first month, because like I said, EDA Open is going to be updating the point of sale with all of the new information that we know we don't have time to give to you in time for you to update that information. So we will provide the crossover information with your new distributor site IDs, new program IDs, new rebate family names, and any new material numbers that were changed from the existing numbers. There was some numbers that changed because they had characters that SAP didn't allow, or if they had leading zeros and would always lose them every time you do anything in Excel. They've added I think a Z to the end, things like that. So there's a few that have changed. So we'll make sure that you have those. We will migrate them for you. In the new system, we will be using material numbers and not model codes. No wild cards, things like that are not going to be relevant in the new system. Model codes, they have a lot of discrepancies today because they're very long, and they don't always get entered into the current ERP system or to the rebate system exactly how they're shown to you in Power Source. So we wanted to take that out as just an issue. And then our new part numbers, when we issue brand new part numbers, they won't be the same as our current part numbers. There'll be a field where you can look up what they would be using, like GH 493, for example. In the new system, when we issue it, if we issued a new size, the number would just be like a random number. And there will be a field that the business unit can update so that you'd still be able to find it, but unfortunately we can't use it in the system. So the wildcards become less relevant at that point as well. So again, we took those out, but we did keep families. We did fix families. Yeah, so we just need to use the material numbers, and that's kind of a big change for some. I know that not everybody uses those, but definitely some distributors use the model codes quite a bit, and we are converting those into part numbers to put into the new site. But when you are in the new site, you'll have to use the model material numbers. I'm used to my
Just
new
to-
tech terms.
To add on to that, there is a question that says, most of the shard lens have the percentage or the wild card. Will those be corrected automatically, or do they need to make the change?
We will put in the newest number. So I know a lot of that is like the same first few digits, and then the last three are like a revision number, and it's not going to be handled that way in the future. There'll either be a revision that's internal for us or a brand new number, depending on the change. So that again will be something that's less relevant in the future. But for the ones that are active now, we will convert those to the most up-to-date number and convert them. And if you have like a full wildcard, like a 104 dash wildcard, that's kind of handled like a family. So we will move that over for you as well.
And that was the last question.
Man, we're right on time. All right. Well, I don't think I have any other slides, so no other questions. We can end on time. Again, if you want to see similar, won't be exactly the same, but if you want to see the similar presentation again to reinforce it, you can welcome to join the same session for next week. And then the back end reconciliations, discrepancies, things like that will be in the following 2 sessions after that.
Thank you,
Great
everyone.
questions, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.